Ever wonder what really goes on in those high-tech labs? The ones pushing the boundaries of medicine and stuff.
Yeah, like what's happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. Today we're diving deep into the world of a biomedical scientist.
Okay, sounds cool. But we're not just peeking in the windows, right?
No way. We're
Yeah.
grabbing our metaphorical lab coats and getting our hands dirty.
Love it. So what are we dissecting today?
Well, we snagged a copy of the RoleCatcher Career Guide for Biomedical Scientists. Think of it as our cheat sheet for this deep dive.
Nice. Cheat sheets are always helpful. So are we talking about actually landing one of these biomedical scientist jobs?
You got it. We're not just exploring the science. We're prepping you to ace that interview and land your dream job.
Awesome. So where do we start? What does a biomedical scientist even do all day?
I'm glad you asked. It's like detective work, but instead of magnifying glasses, you're using microscopes.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Imagine analyzing blood, tissues, all sorts of biological samples, searching for clues.
Clues to what?
Clues that help diagnose diseases, develop those cutting-edge treatments, and ultimately, well, improve human health, right?
Okay, so it's not just about the test. It's about using those results to really make a difference.
That's it. It's about connecting those dots, seeing the bigger picture.
Got it. So you definitely need a solid science background for this, right?
Absolutely. And a deep understanding of all those lab techniques.
Okay, makes sense. But let's say, hypothetically, I'm prepping for one of these interviews. What kind of curveballs can I expect?
Ooh, good question. The guide actually has some real-world examples pulled straight from job descriptions.
Oh, nice, like a sneak peek.
Yeah, and they seem pretty straightforward at first glance, like, can you explain your experience with laboratory techniques such as ELISA and PCR?
Yeah, pretty standard stuff. ELISA, PCR. That's like biomedical science 101.
Right. But it feels like they're digging for more than just a textbook definition, don't you think?
Totally. It's like they're saying, okay, you know the words, but can you walk the walk?
Exactly. So how do you actually answer a question like that in a way that makes them go, wow, we need this person on our team?
Instead of just spitting out facts, think about telling a story. Relate it back to your own experiences. Like instead of just listing the steps of PCR, you could say something like, during my research project on, let's say, antibiotic resistance, I used PCR extensively.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, so you'd explain how you used PCR to amplify specific DNA segments from bacterial samples, which allowed you to pinpoint the genes responsible for resistance.
So it's not just, I know how to do PCR. It's, I use PCR to achieve these amazing results.
Bingo! You gotta connect those dots for them. Show them you get the why behind the what.
It's like saying, I don't just run tests. I generate meaningful results.
Now you're getting it. It's all about showcasing your impact.
Okay, I'm sold. Connecting the dots, showing impact, that's huge. But let's be real. Tailoring your answers to every single job description, that can be time-consuming.
That's where RoleCatcher's AI comes in. Seriously, it's a game changer.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about this AI magic.
Imagine this. You upload your CV and a job description. The AI analyzes both, and then, bam, it shows you where your skills and experience either match or don't, with what the employer is looking for.
Whoa. So instead of using like a generic response, this AI helps me create a custom-tailored answer for each specific job.
You got it. It's like having a personal advisor helping you fine-tune your approach for each opportunity.
That's incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
especially in a competitive field like this. Okay, so we've tackled one question. What else did this guide have in store for us?
Oh yeah, good catch. It's a fast-paced field. They probably want to hear more than just, I read journals.
Oh yeah, good catch. It's a fast-paced field. They probably want to hear more than just, I read journals, right?
Definitely. This is your chance to demonstrate that you're committed to lifelong learning. And let's be real, in this field, it's essential.
So how do you convey that passion for staying ahead of the curve without sounding, too cliche?
Specificity is key. Instead of just listing journals, you could say, I'm an avid reader of Nature and the Lancet. And then toss in something like, I recently attended the International Conference on Molecular Biology.
Oh, nice. Show them you're actively engaged in the scientific community.
Exactly. And to really drive it home, mention a specific presentation or finding that caught your attention.
Like, I was particularly interested in a presentation on CRISPR technology's potential in gene therapy.
See? Now you're not just reading about it, you're out there experiencing it firsthand.
Love it. Okay, so we've covered some technical questions. What about those behavioral ones? Those always feel a bit trickier to me.
Oh yeah, like, can you describe a time you had to troubleshoot a technical issue in the lab?
That one.
Yeah.
It's from the guide, and it feels less about textbook knowledge and more about how you handle things when they go wrong.
Totally. They want to see your problem-solving skills in action, not just in theory.
So how do you even begin to answer that?
Think STAR method. Situation, task, action, result. It's a classic for a reason.
Okay, break that down for me.
So let's say you are running a Western blot.
A what now?
It's a technique to identify specific proteins, and it's a pretty common one in biomedical research.
Gotcha.
So you're running this Western blot, and the bands aren't appearing correctly. First, you set the scene. During my research on, let's say, protein expression, I encountered an issue with a Western blot where the target protein bands weren't visible.
Okay, so you set the stage. Now what?
Now you explain your process. I suspected a problem with the antibody incubation step, so I first reviewed the protocol, ensuring I followed it correctly.
Thorough. I like it. What next?
Then I ran a positive control to confirm the antibody's functionality. See, you're demonstrating a logical step-by-step approach.
It's like you're showing down your thought process, how you tackle challenges head on.
Exactly. You're not just throwing your hands up in the air when things go wrong. And then you gotta bring it home with the resolution.
So how did you solve the Western blot mystery?
Well, in this hypothetical scenario, when the positive control also failed, I consulted with my supervisor, and together we discovered that the antibody batch had expired. So naturally, we ordered a new batch, and success.
I was able to successfully repeat the experiment, obtaining clear and reliable results.
There you go. You've walked them through your entire thought process. Situation, task, action, and the oh-so-satisfying result.
And that's what makes it impactful, right? It's not just about encountering problems. It's about showcasing how you tackled them, what you learned, and the positive outcomes you achieved.
Nailed it. You've shown them you can handle the heat, even when the experiment goes a little haywire.
Which, let's be honest, happens to the best of us.
Oh, absolutely. Science is all about trial and error.
Speaking of which, we've been focusing a lot on acing those interview questions, but before we get too deep into that, I want to touch on something we briefly mentioned earlier. The day-to-day reality of being a biomedical scientist. Because it's not always microscopes and breakthroughs, is it?
Right. It's exciting, don't get me wrong, but it also takes serious dedication and resilience.
Yeah, the guide touches on there, the challenges and rewards, right?
Absolutely. It's not always glamorous.
So paint me a picture. What's it really like to walk in a biomedical scientist's shoes?
Well, for starters, you're dealing with a lot of detailed work. Like, meticulous attention to detail is an absolute must.
Makes sense. One tiny error could throw off an entire experiment.
Exactly. And sometimes you're working with potentially hazardous materials, so safety is paramount.
Definitely don't want to mix up those test tubes.
Right. And it's not just about the science itself either. You got to be comfortable with the emotional weight that comes with it, especially in certain areas of research.
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes you're dealing with patients' health directly, or your research is directly related to diseases and conditions that impact people's lives. It can be tough, you know?
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. There's a human side to it that we often forget about.
Exactly. You need a certain level of empathy and understanding to navigate those waters.
So it takes a special kind of person, someone who's not only brilliant and driven, but also compassionate and resilient.
Absolutely. But for those who are genuinely passionate about making a difference in healthcare, it's the most rewarding feeling in the world.
Yeah, knowing you're on the front lines of medical discovery, constantly learning and evolving, it's got to be incredible.
It is. And that's where a tool like RoleCatcher can be so helpful. It's like having a support system guiding you through those initial career stages.
Okay, so it's not just about landing the job. It's about thriving in that role and building a fulfilling career.
You got it. It's about setting yourself up for success from day one.
That's fantastic. Okay, we've covered some great ground here, but we're just scratching the surface. We still have more interview questions to unpack.
Oh, absolutely. We've only just begun.
Perfect. Then let's take a quick break and dive right back into those insightful questions and how to tackle them like a pro. Stay tuned, folks. This deep dive is far from over.
You know, we often think of science as this very black and white field.
Right. All about facts and figures.
Exactly. But especially in biomedical research, ethics play a huge role.
That's a good point. It's not just about what we can do. It's about what we should do.
Exactly. And interviewers want to know you're thinking about those ethical implications.
So how do they even approach that in an interview setting?
Well, the RoleCatcher Guide actually has a question about this. It asks, can you discuss your experience with regulatory compliance in biomedical research?
Okay, so they're looking for more than just, I know right from wrong.
Right. They want to see that you understand how ethical considerations actually shape your work,
Hmm.
how you navigate those gray areas.
Makes sense. So for someone with experience working under good clinical practice or GCP, this would be the time to highlight that, right?
Absolutely. GCP ensures all those ethical and scientific quality standards are met for research involving humans.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's all about protecting the rights and well-being of those participants.
Exactly. But even without direct experience in a specific framework like GCP, you can still demonstrate your understanding of ethical research practices.
Okay, so how do you do that? What are some examples?
You could mention your familiarity with informed consent procedures, or maybe talk about your commitment to patient data confidentiality, or even just emphasize your dedication to objective, unbiased experimentation.
It's about showing them you're not just a skilled scientist, but also a responsible one.
Exactly. Ethics are a cornerstone of good science.
Okay, I like it. Now let's switch gears a bit. What about showcasing leadership skills in an interview? Is there a question for that?
Absolutely. The guide mentions this one. Can you discuss a research project you led or contributed significantly to?
Ah, the classic, tell me about a time you were awesome question.
Pretty much. This is your moment to shine. Don't be shy about outlining your contributions.
So what should you focus on when answering this question?
Start by clearly outlining the research question you are tackling. Then, explain your specific role, the challenges you encountered, and of course, the outcomes you achieved.
Did you present your findings at a conference? Were you part of a publication? Don't be afraid to highlight those accomplishments.
Exactly. Own your successes. And this ties back into how RoleCatcher can be so beneficial.
Oh, right. Because structuring those responses in a clear, compelling way,
Yeah.
it's not always easy.
Exactly. RoleCatcher's AI can help you structure those answers, ensuring you hit those key points.
So it's like having a communication coach helping you refine your message.
Precisely. You're presenting your best self, both in terms of content and delivery.
Okay, ready for another question? The guide highlights one that often trips people up. How have you collaborated with other researchers or departments in the past?
Ah, yes, collaboration, the heart of science. It's especially important in biomedical science
Why is that?
because it often involves working with researchers from different disciplines, not to mention clinicians and other healthcare professionals.
So it's not just about getting along with your lab mates, it's about navigating the complexities of interdisciplinary communication.
Exactly, and different working styles. So when you're choosing an example to share,
It needs to be a good one.
right, choose one that really highlights your ability to communicate those complex scientific concepts to a diverse audience, and ultimately how you work together to achieve a shared goal.
It's about being a team player, finding those connections between different areas of expertise.
Exactly.
Instead of just saying, I've worked on group projects before, you need to paint a more vivid picture.
Right. You could say something like, during my research on, let's say, the genetic basis of a rare disease, I collaborated closely with geneticists, bioinformaticians, and clinicians.
Okay, now you've set the scene.
Right. We held weekly meetings to discuss progress, share data, troubleshoot challenges, really emphasize that collaborative spirit.
I like it. Show them you're actively participating, not just showing up to meetings.
I took the lead on analyzing the genetic data and had to present our findings to the clinicians
See, there's that leadership element again.
in a way that was both accurate and easy to understand.
You're highlighting those communication skills. And what was the outcome of all this collaboration?
This collaboration led to identifying a new genetic variant associated with the disease, which has significant implications for diagnosis and treatment.
Wow, that's a powerful example. It highlights your role, the communication aspect, and of course, the positive outcome of working together.
Exactly. You've shown you can contribute to a team, even with members from very different backgrounds.
It speaks volumes about your adaptability and communication skills. And you know what else I just thought of?
What's that?
This is another area where practicing your answers with RoleCatcher's AI can be incredibly valuable.
Oh, definitely. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Right.
Exactly. Because AI can analyze not just the content of your answers, but your tone of voice as well. It can even tell you if you're using too many filler words or speaking too quickly,
It's like having a personal speech coach in your pocket.
giving you that extra boost of confidence, which can make all the difference in an interview setting. Okay, before we move on, I wanted to touch on another question from the guy that I found intriguing. What are your salary expectations?
Ah, the dreaded salary question. It can be a bit, well, awkward.
Right. You don't want to undervalue yourself, but you also don't want to price yourself out. It's a delicate dance.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot. But luckily, RoleCatcher can be incredibly helpful here too.
Really? I didn't realize it did that.
Yep, using data it's gathered from numerous job postings.
So we're talking real-time market data here.
Yes, and taking into account your experience level, RoleCatcher can actually give you salary insights tailored to your target roles and location.
Wow, so it's like having a personal salary negotiator in your back pocket.
Pretty much. And it can even help you identify additional benefits or perks that might be negotiable.
Okay, so it's not just about the number. It's about understanding the full scope of compensation and what's considered competitive in your field.
Precisely. Knowledge is power, my friend. Going into a salary negotiation with those data-driven insights, it can give you a significant advantage.
It's incredible how data can empower us, even in something as, I don't know, personal as a job search. But we've talked a lot about RoleCatcher in interview prep. It's more than that, though, right?
Oh, for sure. Think of it less like a single tool and more like your career companion.
Okay, a career companion.
It's not about getting you ready for one interview. It's about helping you map out your entire journey as a biomedical scientist.
Okay, so it's like having a roadmap guiding you through all those twists and turns.
You got it. RoleCatcher can actually help you pinpoint potential career trajectories within biomedical science and then give you the inside scoop on the skills and experience you'll need to actually reach your goals.
That's amazing. So instead of just stumbling around in the dark, you've got a clear path forward.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe it even highlights emerging areas within biomedical science, like bioinformatics or nanotechnology, stuff that's super relevant right now.
It's like you said, your career companion,
Yep.
helping you stay ahead of the curve. Okay, so we've talked about the hard skills, the technical stuff, but what about the soft skills? Things like communication, teamwork, problem solving. How does RoleCatcher factor into all of that?
Those soft skills are crucial. And honestly, RoleCatcher doesn't just assume you have them.
Okay, good to know. So how does it actually help you improve those soft skills?
Remember all those behavioral interview questions we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, imagine practicing those with RoleCatcher's AI.
Yeah, I'm listening.
It's giving you feedback, not just on the content of your answers, but on your delivery.
You mean like tone of voice and stuff?
Exactly. It's like having a personal coach right there, helping you refine your communication skills and your critical thinking.
It's practice, but with AI-powered feedback, which honestly is next level.
It's all about setting you up for success.
I love that. Well, I think we've covered a ton of ground today. We've gone from understanding what it really means to be a biomedical scientist to absolutely crushing those interviews and even taking it a step further and exploring that bigger career journey. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up?
Biomedical science, it's a challenging field, no doubt, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Remember why you were drawn to this field. For the passion, the desire to make a difference, that drive to learn and grow, embrace those qualities and then let tools like RoleCatcher be your guide.
I love that. It's a beautiful blend of passion and technology all working together to help you achieve your full potential. And you know what? I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of a biomedical scientist.
It's been a pleasure. And to all those future scientists out there, we're rooting for you.
That's right. Never stop exploring, learning, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Until next time, folks.